morning, dear hearts. We are now on lesson 129, and please subscribe. Yesterday's lesson was the world I see holds nothing that I want. And as I said yesterday, we would not be left in that space, because if we were left with that idea, it could only lead to anxiety and depression. Today's lesson, Beyond This World, There Is a World I Want, addresses that in the first paragraph. It says, this is the thought that follows from the one we practiced yesterday. You cannot stop with the idea the world is worthless, for unless you see that there is something else to hope for, you will only be depressed. Our emphasis is not on giving up the world, but on exchanging it for what is far more satisfying, filled with joy and capable of offering you peace. Do you think this world can offer that to you? That's a paraphrase of the last sentence. But that's the idea. Do you think this world as I see it, the world I see, can it offer me joy and peace? No, it cannot. It has not. So I don't have any hope for it to change and to shift at this time. But I can exchange this world for another world, a world that I truly do want. Now, I'm going to go back to reference from our first 50, lesson 14, which is a favorite, was always a favorite, and it is, God did not create a meaningless world. The world I see is meaningless because it has no love in it. There's no meaning. There's no guidance in it. God did not create a meaningless world, and what God did not create does not exist, and everything that does exist exists as He created it. And the world you see has nothing to do with reality. It is your own making, and it does not exist. That comes from lesson 14. So, beyond the world that I see, that world that God did not create and has nothing to offer me and is meaningless, beyond that world, I can choose a different world. Now, going into paragraph 2 for today, it says, it might be worth a little time to think once more about the value of this world. Perhaps you will concede there is no loss in letting go all thought of value here. The world you see is merciless indeed, unstable, cruel, unconcerned with you, quick to avenge, and pitiless with hate. This is the world of time where all things end. That is how this world is. All things end. There is nothing that will last and will be eternal and is timeless in this world. So it says, would that really be a loss? For us to lose, to release ourselves from this world, would that really be a loss? And the answer, of course, is no. It would be freedom. It would be my salvation to lose myself from this world, to loose myself from this world, to eliminate the chains and take myself out of the prison that I have made with my thoughts about this world. I love this lesson. Okay, okay, is it lost to find all things you really want and know that they have no ending and they will remain exactly as you want them throughout time? Yet even they will be exchanged at last for what we cannot speak of, for you go from here to where words fail entirely, into a silence where the language is unspoken and yet surely understood. There are many places in the Course that say our use for words is almost over. When we come home into this world that we do want, which let's just call it heaven, all right? When we come home to God, there will be no use for words, for language, and yet our communication will be complete and, as it says, unambiguous and plain as day, and remain unlimited for all eternity. And God Himself speaks to His Son as His Son speaks to Him. But the language has no words. There's nothing that we need to say. Our thoughts because our minds are joined, convey everything that is in our heart. So this is where we are going to, and it says, now is the last step certain. Now you stand in instant space away from timelessness. And remember that door. We'll go through that door. We'll go across the bridge, and God himself will reach down to welcome us home. But there will be no words that need to be said for our homecoming. It's really great. Here is the world that comes to take its place as you unbind your mind from little things this world sets forth to keep you prisoner. Value them not, and they will disappear. Esteem them, and they will seem real to you. As we said recently, and often, that if we want to free ourselves from the ego and all that the ego offers, all we need to do is to stop believing in the ego. So if that's exactly what we're being told again, and it will be again and again and again. So as long as we have no value, we have no attachment to the things of this world, they will disappear if we don't feed them. If we don't feed them, they will fall away. And again, it just came into my head, and I've told it before, this story of the two wolves, and many of you know it, that the young boy tells the grandfather, I feel like I have two wolves inside of me, and one, I'm paraphrasing here, but one is good and kind, and the other one is angry and wants to attack. And he says to the grandfather, which will survive? And the grandfather says, the one you feed. And it's the same idea. The one we feed, the world we feed, the idea about the world that we feed will be the world that we know, the one that will survive. Our practicing is 3 times a day, 10 minutes each, morning, evening, sometime in between. And it says, practice your willingness to make this change 10 minutes in the morning, at night, once more in between. Begin with this. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. I choose to see that world instead of this, for here is nothing that I really want. There is nothing here that I really want. What I see is a meaningless world made up from meaningless thoughts. My meaningless thoughts have shown me a meaningless world, but God did not create a meaningless world. It says, today the lights of heaven bend to you to shine upon your eyelids as you rest beyond the world of darkness. Here is light your eyes cannot behold, and yet your mind can see it plainly and can understand. It talks about the lights of heaven, and one folds and blends into the next, until all that we have is a light-filled space for us and for our mind and for our brothers. So it's a day of grace is given today, and we give thanks this day. We realize that what you feared to lose was only loss. We had made up stories about what we thought was valuable here, but we really lose nothing when we choose God over the ego. This lesson talks about, the lights bending down to us. There's several places in the course that speaks of angels bending to us or God bending down to us. It's a beautiful image in our mind, but what really is happening is we are embracing all of those things, embracing the light and embracing God from within us, because that's where they are. Says, now do we understand there's no loss, and we are making a choice by laying but whatever thoughts you have and dwelling briefly only upon these thoughts. The world I see holds nothing that I want. Beyond this world there is a world I want, and it is the world filled with light and love and God and our brothers and all of the sonship, and it is where we are meant to be. So that's it for today. I hope it helped. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment. Please pray. Pray for these light-filled moments. And please be here tomorrow for another giant stride. Namaste.